The June 24th meeting of the Planning Commission is now in order. Please call the roll.
Bartsch,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman, Bollinger, Demakis,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Burkhalter,
Yes.
Keller, Coop,
Yes.
Lartius, Offerdahl,
Yes.
Severson, Wagonast.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, look for approval of our May 28th meeting minutes from the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Motion by Coop. Second by Hochhalter. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Keller, I'm sorry, Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonast,
Yes.
Bartsch,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
and Burkhalter.
The motion carries. I will bring us to our first agenda item of the evening, which is a request by Mitchell Holbach for annexation of the west half of Lot 6, Thompson's 8th plat, to allow independent connection to city water main. This property is located at 110 43rd Avenue Southwest, and I will ask city staff for their comments, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see here the first slide is a vicinity map. This property is located on the south end of town, kind of across from the Walmart area down there. And the owner would like to connect to city water. In order to do so, the city code says within 200 feet, 200 or 300 feet of a water main, the properties are to connect. And so it's a win-win situation, I think, for the city to provide those services, but the owner does have to annex. This is a blow-up of the site here. There's a water main, approximate location that they would like to hook up to. There is this island in the red line that's that jogs around this because it's not annexed, and in the blue outline is the owner's property. And at some point, maybe when we do our comprehensive plan update next time, I think it would be wise to consider this yellow, the adjacent property, also becoming annexed so that we could kind of straighten that line out and get rid of the islands that we have. The property is zone C2, but it's being used residentially, and you'll notice some of the other property, like directly to the south, there's all those residential units that are also zone C2. The land use map shows that as being medium density residential. So again, when we revisit our comprehensive plan, we may want to make some changes in some of these areas, either in zoning or in land use, to bring things into conformance with the way they should be. There's the existing city limit line. And when we annex the property, or if the property is annexed, which I anticipate it will be, then it would look like this. So findings of fact, the applicant has made an application to annex. The land is urban in character. City government's required to protect health, safety, and welfare, including provision of clean and adequate public water. And the annexation is in the best interest of the city and the applicant. So staff recommendation is to approve the annexation based on the findings of facts and subject to the applicant working with the engineering department to follow all the city requirements and specifications for the water connection. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lang at this time? Okay, seeing none, at this time I'll open up the public portion of the hearing, and any of those in favor of this agenda item to please come forward at this time if they wish to be heard. Any of those either in favor or against or opposed to this agenda item, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public portion and bring it to the commissioners for a vote, or for motion, please, excuse me.
Motion to approve based on staff recommendations and findings of
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. So we have a motion from Barch and a second from Demakis. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Hanson,
Yes.
Burkhalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonast,
Yes.
Barch,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
and Demakis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, our next agenda item is a request by Jessica Jensen for a variance to rebuild an addition to the front of the house that was previously built out of compliance and damaged during the flood. The property is located at 3001 9th Avenue Southeast, not west. If I could get city staff's report, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There's a vicinity map of the property. It's south of Burdick, out past the fairgrounds, kind of out by the Public Works Annex, kind of. This is a blow-up of the property. You see the water course that comes through there, and there are some floodplain issues we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But the applicant purchased this house, I think she said like 13 years ago, but well before the flood. And it had this addition that you see kind of in the beige color in that location that was already existing, plus the patio area in the front that's in the blue outline. And after the flood, there's been continuous problems with it, and she came to the building department, and with the research that we did, there's no record of any permits or inspections or anything. It appears this addition was built without the benefit of those controls and assurances, so it's not built according to code. And what she's asking to do is get a variance to rebuild it in the same spot because it's too close to the right-of-way. It's 15 feet back approximately. It needs to be 25. You can see part of the structure is at 25, but there's really no other place to regain this space if it were to go away. You'll see in a minute because of the floodplain. And because it was there before, she would like permission to have a consideration for the variance. She'd like to have our contractor tear this down, rebuild, put footings under it, didn't have footings or any of the proper foundation prior. And so reconstruct the patio correctly, plus the footings underneath it, and rebuild it. Now, there's 100-year floodplain that comes through here. This is the current floodplain map, the FEMA panel. And in your staff report, the actual FEMA numbers and stuff that engineering sent to me, and the elevations and the basic flood elevations and things like that are laid out for you. But basically, there are new FEMA panels that have been prepared. They haven't been released and approved yet, but they will be. We anticipate maybe next year in the spring or summer, and it'll be a different situation. Here you see the new panels. So the 100-year floodplain is substantially increased all the way around the property except for the house, basically. So I'll back up here and you can see there's quite a bit out of it there and there's quite a bit in there. So to put that addition anywhere else is really impractical to try to stay out of the floodplain. And no guaranteed assurances, but the engineer's opinions were, or probable opinion was that if the applicant were to get the variance and build the addition under the current floodplain ordinance, they could probably do so at the current ground elevation. A surveyor would have to be hired and engineering work would have to be done to make sure that that's the case. But in the future scenario, there's a chance that the addition would have to be elevated above the current ground level to meet floodplain, and of course that would present a little bit more challenge, I guess, to blend it into the existing situation. Here's some photographs from the site. Excuse me. You can see the patio, which extends under where the foundation should be, and the addition itself. You can see the condition of the patio, the cracking and whatnot as well there. So findings of fact, the applicant came in good faith just to try to get a building permit to reconstruct this and found out that it's too close. And also found out it was built incorrectly and without the benefit of permits or any of that. Field investigation showed that there's no footings, it's not built to codes, and it was further compromised in 2011. and it's becoming really a potential safety concern for those reasons. The homeowner would like to replace all of it. A variance is required. Section 30-2F requires specific finding that granting the variance will not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose or intent of the comprehensive plan. Staff feels that it does not. So staff findings in terms of this variance request were that the encroachment is not the fault of the owner. The condition has deteriorated to a point where safety is a concern. The 100-year floodplain affects this site in a major way. They really can't put this addition anywhere else because of it. And granting the variance would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the general purpose or intent of the comprehensive plan. So the recommendation is to approve the variance for the property described as written here, to grant a variance to the front yard building setback to allow reconstruction of a building addition foundation and associated patio at the same footprint it was originally built, recognizing exceptional practical difficulties with the shape of the lot, the proximity to the 100-year floodplain, the fact that the original construction does not meet building codes and was done without the benefit of required permits and inspections, which is of no fault by the owner, but creates a potential safety hazard that must be addressed. Further recognizing granting this variance to the front yard setback will not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the comp plan. If this variance is granted, the following conditions would apply. Applicant agrees to comply with floodplain regs that are in effect at the time of construction, whichever they may be. If a building permit is authorized by way of the approved variance, if it's not obtained within 1 year, then the variance becomes null and void, and that's basically standard for all variances. So those two conditions. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Commissioners, any questions for Principal Planner Lang? Okay, seeing none, I will now open the public portion of the hearing. Anyone in favor of this agenda item, please come forward. Anyone in favor or opposed to this agenda item, to please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I will bring it back to the commissioners for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve based on staff finding of fact and conditions.
A motion by Wagonist,
Second.
second by Coop. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonest,
Yes.
Barch.
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Demakis,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
and Coop.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Our next agenda item is a request by Kurt Brorby to rezone from C2 to R3C to avoid non-conforming use issues due to existing residential townhomes located in a C2 zoning district, and also to replat Lot 17 less the south 30 feet of amended plats of lots 14, 15, 16, and 17. Prairie Green Edition to be known as Prairie Green 24th Edition, to allow each townhouse unit on a separate lot. The property is located at 905 28th Avenue Southwest. City staff's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's a vicinity map. This is located just kind of southeast of the Dakota Square Mall at the intersection of 28th and 10th. There's a blown up view. So there's basically one building that contains 4 units. And Mr. Brobry came in to request whether or not these could be split onto separate lots. He said currently it's a condo association, or it's a condo situation, but there's no association or bylaws or anything like that that he's aware of, or any of the other 3. And they're all kind of taking care of their own place anyway, and they'd like to have each one be on its own separate lot. There's also the zoning issue where this is zone C2. And again, there's a lot of housing around here that's in commercial zoning that probably we might look at with a comp plan update changing that. But as you know, in 2013, residential zoning is not allowed in commercial zoning. In commercial residential use is not allowed in commercial zoning. So they are grandfathered in, but it's an opportunity to kind of fix that situation. Future land use map shows it commercial as well. So here's the subdivision plat that would split the existing property from one lot into the 4 lots, Prairie Green 24th edition. And one issue that came up when the engineering department reviewed this is that each unit has to be separately connected to the water and sewer mains, and the owner thought that it was, and you see there's distinct lines coming out of each unit, but they all come into a common line, and so that can't be that way according to code. And so that's the one condition that we have on this project. Findings of fact, the applicant owns a townhome condo that's attached to 3 others. There's really no association, and it's not really functioning as a condo in that way, so they'd like it to be a townhouse situation. The existing zoning C2, it needs to be zoned R3C, which is our townhouse zoning district. Residential and commercial is illegal now, so this would make it legal, or this would make it legal instead of just legal nonconforming. All 4 owners agreed that they wanted to pursue this, and we allowed all of them to come in on one application instead of 4 separate applications. The applicant took the lead, the others joined in. The submittal meets the requirements set forth in the zoning ordinance for rezoning and subdivision plats. So staff recommends approval of the zoning change from C2 to R3C, and also the plat with the following condition that each dwelling unit must be separately connected to the city's sewer main and city water main. And then one other thing that I've neglected to put in here, but I believe Mr. Broby and I talked about, the common walls between the units have to meet the fire standard, the fire rating standard. And I believe when we were talking about that, he said a friend of his that was familiar with that had looked at it and thought it did, but it has to be the city inspector. Somebody would have to go and verify that would meet that standard. So we may want to include that as a second condition to meet the firewall standards. So that's what I have for you. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Commissioners, any questions for Principal Planner Lang? Okay, seeing none, I will open up the public portion for any of those that are in favor of this agenda item that would like to come forward at this time. Please do so. Any of those in favor or opposed to the agenda item? Please come forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public portion, and I will bring it to the commissioners for a motion.
Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact, conditions, and we'll add the second condition, firewall standards between units.
Okay, we have a motion by Wagonist,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Offerdahl. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Barch,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Demacus,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Coop,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Wagonest.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Yeah, we should probably mention, I can say something if you want to.
Okay, yeah, our next agenda item, our principal planner has comments.
This agenda item was a carryover from actually the last 2 meetings for Southwest Crossing Retirement Community. And there was more information requested from the applicant. And we've been in contact with them. They are going to submit that materials for the July meeting. So we will not hold any kind of hearing tonight or take any action. But it appears that we will be looking at that at the July 29th meeting. That's the rezoning and the plating, land use map change, and the PUD application for the assisted living, independent living, skilled nursing, all that down by the new hospital. So that's a preview for July, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And that'll bring us to our last agenda item, which is other business, which is the election of officers for this body. I have informed the body that I plan to not, after my term is up in August, to leave, so I've asked them to attempt to nominate another chairman for that time, as it doesn't seem right to have to redo that in 2 months. So I guess at this point, I'm not sure about the legalities, but I believe I just opened it up for nominations at this time for starting with chairman. Does that work for you? Okay. So do I have any nominations for chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I'll nominate Charles Demakis for chair.
Okay, we have one nomination. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And one more time, right? Any other nominations? Okay. All right, we have one nomination. I believe I have to ask Commissioner Demakis if he's willing to accept that nomination
Sure,
and carry out those duties as chairman.
I can handle that.
Well, thank you. The excitement is noticeable.
Rolling over, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
We have to do a vote, or?
Yeah, I think, do we have to do a vote on that? Okay, so we'll call the roll on Chairman nominee Demakis.
Barch.
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes.
Demakis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Coop.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
Wagonest.
Yes.
That motion carries. So congratulations, Charles.
Thank you.
All right, now we move on to vice chairman, so I'll ask for nominations for the new vice chairman, potentially.
Mr. Chairman, I'll nominate Dustin Offerdahl as
Okay.
vice chairman.
All right. Commissioner Wagness nominates Commissioner Offerdahl. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, I will ask Commissioner Offerdahl if he's willing to accept the responsibilities of the vice chairman of the Planning Commission.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Offerdahl. And now we will call the roll.
Barch.
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes.
Demakis.
Yep.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Coop.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
Wagonest.
Yes.
And that motion carries as well. Thank you both for accepting. And with that, we have no further business, so this meeting is adjourned.